Hello there, how you doing? I hope you're all well. I'm out camping today with oldest friend, and while I'm out, I'm going to make a whip. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm going to use to make it. I'm going to do it on one of these Kumihimo Disk. Kumihimo Disk. I always get the pronunciation wrong on that one. You might have seen the video where I showed you this whip that I made. I've made two using this Kumihimo Disk. This is my favourite at the moment. I'll show you some cracks with this in a bit. It cracks like a little demon. It's about a 4-foot snake whip. And the reason why this is one of the best ones I've made is because I managed to make a core and put a core into it. Now what I got from Lidl the other day, cheap I hasten to add, were these little reels of 20 metre, almost like paracord. And I thought I'm going to use the red and the green to make a whip with, because I think the colour combination will be quite good. And we're going to use the black to make a core. So I thought I'd show you how I'm going to do that, because I never actually showed you how I made this one. So what I've got is the rope, the disc, tape measure. I've got a couple of reels of tape, some black electrician tape and some kind of duct tape stuff. I'm going to need a knife and some scissors and probably a lighter, which I haven't got out yet, to sear the ends of the cord. So this whip, as I say, is about 4 foot long. And in order to create a core, what I need is it to taper down in the way that this whip tapers down, so that till you get to the fall and the cracker at the end. Now I have got a separate fall and cracker already made. So to make the core, I'm going to have it taper down from 4 foot down to 3 foot, down to 2 foot, down to 1 foot. So I need a 7 foot length, which will become the 4 to 3, and then a 3 foot length, which will become the 2 to 1. I'll show you what I mean, because it'll make sense, I think, if I show you what I mean. So I've got my tape measure. I've just kind of stuck this at around the 2 foot marker here, and I'm just going to use that to measure out a 7 foot length. I've got a dog's bum just in my viewpoint here. So that's 2 foot, 2 foot, so that's 4. If you can hear music in the background, all this friend is playing with his toys. 6 foot, and then I'm just going to go to a foot here. So that is around 7 foot. Got the Victorinox compact with the nice little scissors on. Snip. And then the lighter, just to singe the end of this, just to stop it from fraying. Okay, so I've got 2 lengths of rope now, which is going to be the core. This one is 7 foot, and I've marked off, that's a foot. I'm taking a foot in, so that I've got a 4 foot length, and there's the end point. What I'm going to add to that end point is the 3 foot length with a foot at the bottom there, and then join those together. Right, okay, so what we've got now is 4 strands in the core. Okay, can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, which then go down to a taper where the first strand drops away here. Then as you go down another foot, the second strand drops away, go down another foot, the third strand drops away, until you get to the last strand at the end. So these bits where you've got the 4 strands at the end, this is where we start to tape this up. Now what I'm going to do initially is just add a little bit of duct tape around it, just to fix these together. And this is just so that I've got them in place. Doesn't matter if these get twisted, you're not going to see them, they're going to be out of sight. What I want in terms of the core, in terms of a handle, I want it to be roughly the size of my hand. So I'm going to run tape from here. See what I'm doing, right? So I'm just going to run some tape here just to bind these together. And it will just add a little bit of rigidity to it. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be roughly hand-shaped. Going to add a little bit more this time, to when I did the other one, that is. Now this, as you can tell, is a silvery duct tape. And what I don't want is silver poking through, or being visible through. Gosh, I'm making a right mess of this. It's a good job you can't see this on the camera. There's grass everywhere. What I don't want is, if you look into the weave of this, you can't see any silver, because what I also did then was I did some black around it. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to bind this handle bit with a little bit of electrician's tape. And that's it, that's the kind of handle area. Right, next thing is to start the weave. So I've taken these red and green ropes off these spools that they come on. According to the specs on here, they are 20 meters long. So I need to split them half and half. So now I've got both ends. And what I'm going to do is, here's my core. I'm going to put my core in the middle, and I'm going to feed both of these through a little loop that I've left at the end of the core. It might be easier to see if I just poke the screwdriver through from there. So I've left a little loop there at the end of the core. I'm going to feed these through. Okay, I did make a slight boo-boo there because I got the core onto the rope and then realised I actually needed to cut the rope in half. So that instead of having 20 metre lengths, because I thought this is going to be really hard to work with, I've got two 10 metre lengths. That's what I actually need. So I've cut the rope in half, singed it, as you've just seen me doing there, just to seal the ends off. Right, so I've still got the core attached to one length of the rope. And what I'm going to do now is just feed the other two halves, dropped it, the other two halves through the end of the core like I've done before. Sun's come out, that's nice. Right, so I've got these on here now. So what we've got here is each one of these strands is 10 meters. So I've got two 10 meter greens at the bottom, two 10 meter greens at the top, two 10 reds and two 10 reds either side. And what we're going to do is we've got to keep this core in the center all the time. And we're going to take the top side off and put it at the bottom. And then take that bottom one off and put it at the top. You gradually end up working your way around the disc. Then turn it. And then do the same again. Bottom to the top, top to the bottom. Turn the disc, bottom to the top, top to the bottom. And then I'm just going to keep going with that, and I'll come back in a bit and show you what it looks like as we're getting further into it. Bushcrafting at its finest. I don't know where this afternoon has gone. Wine, gone. I've not got as much done on the whip as I'd have liked, but it's doing okay. Starting to get hungry again. I've given up on the whip for today. I'm going to finish that as a separate project. Alright, I'm back home and I've been busy beavering away at this. Got it to quite a nice length now. Really hot weather at the moment. I'm in bed, look. And I just thought I'd show you the next, what I've done so far with the tapers. So as you can see, this is actually the last taper, where it goes down from 2 in the core to 1 strand. You can see here, look how cheap this cord is. Managed to hide all those bits in the in the whip, but yeah. So for the tapers here, that's the end, and what you want is you want to pull this kind of tight here, and then you're going to tape that up. You're going to tape up the taper. This is just some black electrical tape, and it's purely to stop the end from poking out of the cord and the whip. So it's just to keep it all nice and neat. So get that nice and even, and then just wrap your tape around at a bit of an angle. Tape that in, and then you're just going to run this tape over the end of the cord just to create a point, a taper. And then when you've got that, rip that off and just wrap it up. And that's it. I've done that with all the other tapers. So there were 4 strands, and now I'm down to 2 and just 1. Alright, let's get a bit more of this made. Right, I think you can see there, we're nearly at the end of the core. So not too far to go before we move on to the next stage. And what we're going to do when that actually disappears into the center of the whip is keep going for a little bit longer, and just to produce the final taper. So there goes the end. You can just see that little black and white bit there. That's it disappearing now into the core. And that's it. It's gone. So as I say, I'm just going to continue on now for a little bit longer just to finish off the final taper. Right, so I've gone a bit further just to create that final taper. It finished there, and I've done about that much extra just so that it's nice and fluid. And now it's time to build the cracker in. Now this is a paracord cracker. I haven't made this one myself. It is one that I've bought in. You can actually make one of these by taking the core out of some paracord and then feeding it through the split and then adding the actual cracker at the end. So this is the fall and this is the cracker. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to feed this through onto a couple of the twines here and then tie it off. So as I take this one off, I'm going to take the end, put it through so that it goes into the core. See what I've done there, look? And then I'm going to bring that down and then do what I would do normally. Take this one and put this one back through that same centerpiece there, look. Bring that up and then just lock that off there. And this will get sort of like taken into the core. And so I'm just going to now wrap around that a couple of times just to hold that firmly in place. Where did that voice come from? I don't know. Sorry if the camera's a bit jerky, it's sat on my lap. You see how that's getting taken in? That's actually now caught up in the core. Just do one more for luck, eh? Pull that from behind. That's now coming straight out of the centre. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all the cords off the disc and just holding on to this so it doesn't get too loose, just pull them all through the centre of the disc, because we're done with the Kumihimo Disk now. So I now have quite a loose end there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of these green ones here and I'm going to move forward and start wrapping this backwards, because we're going to effectively create a noose knot here. Just wrap it back. I don't want to cut these off yet, just in case I need a bit more length. You see how I'm just wrapping that back to create a bit of an end there, and I'm going to kind of go back to round about here. What I haven't got for this next bit to hand is a fid, and that would actually come in handy. Might have to just grab one of them. Alright, you see what's happening? Just tightening that off, creating a tie. Just until I get back to that black bit where the where I attach the fall. I think that'll do there. Alright, so there it's all wrapped up. I've got a fid. Now I'm just going to melt this end a little bit, just to get it to a bit of a point. And then I can feed that into the fid, screw it in, just to hold that end in place. There we go, that's in. If you've never seen one of these before, it's just a paracord weaving fid. And then what we're going to do is pass that through all the wraps that we've just put on. And that'll pull the end through. Let's go through so far and bring it out. There we go. And then through a few more. Doesn't matter if it looks a bit loose and a bit naff at the minute, it'll all come together. I think I can do all of those in one go. There we go. Looks like a bit easier, won't it? Right, so now that's all through. All I have to do now is to tighten this up. You see how I pull this, it tightens that. Right, so it's actually creating a self cinch. You just have to keep moving this around this way, that's it, so that all the slack comes to the pull point, and then just keep pulling it down. Just keep bringing it round until this goes slack again. See how it's gone slack there, and then just pull it back through, and just keep doing that until you get this really nice and tight. Look how much slack there is in that, look. Pull it through. We want this end to really hold in place. There we go. We're about there. Fid off. Don't need that anymore. And now we've got all these straggly bits. And now what we do is we cut them off and then cinch them. Singe them, I should say. So what I did with this one was I just created a few little tassely ends there with the fall and the cracker coming out. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I might at some point, because what I did with this one was I did put a little bit of glue on there just to bind it, a bit of super glue, and I might do the same here. I don't know. I might even try a bit of Storm Shore flexible glue on that just to hold it in place. But in the meantime, let's take all of these and cut them roughly at the same length. What you don't want to get is, you don't want to get that involved. Keep that well out of the way. And then, oh there I think. Some of the best little scissors I've ever found are on these Roxxon, is it Roxxon? Yeah, Roxxon multi-tools. Absolutely cracking they are. See all those ends? I won't show you this, but I'm just going to singe all those ends up to stop them from fraying. Alright, I've got that nicely finished off. What I am going to do at some point is I'm just going to run some Storm Shore over here just to hold that in place, just to stop it from moving around. It shouldn't do anyway, it's just a precautionary measure on my part. So let's see how this little thing cracks, huh? It is warm, forgive the fact that I've got no shirt on. It's the middle of summer. Not bad, eh? Nice. Nice. So you know what to do if you like this video, about liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. And if you've got any questions about how I've made this, I think I've covered everything in the video, but it's a bit disjointed with me having done it over 2 locations. So if I have missed anything and there's anything you want to know, by all means just ask in the comments. Alright, thanks for watching. You take care of yourself. Cheerio. Just before I go, yeah, this is made out of really cheap Lidl cord. Not bad, right?